pretty dry. Honestly.
I know where all the beavers are now.
Yeah.
Got a call the other day. They're trying to dam up the Red Rapids on Cabascon Creek.
Oh,
She's told Foisey. And in behind his house there. So I said, well, that's nothing we can do. But I said, be careful because it's Mattawa River Provincial Park and
Right.
Conservation Authority might have something to say. But that's when the water was really low, so they were pretty ambitious to try and dam that up. But I would think now it's a lot higher.
Is that where the rock dam was?
No, the other
Canada?
side, yeah. Yeah, there used to be a rock dam on the Sheedy Lake side.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if that's still there or not.
we used to camp there.
never even heard of Sheedy Lake.
It's a little
Back
hidden
in
lake,
line.
Yeah.
bridge in Pine Lake Road.
Behind
If you
there.
look to the right when you're going in,
Yeah.
that's the start of Cabascon Bay.
Yeah.
To the left is Sheedy Lake,
She,
and then above it is La Chapelle, and then it turns into Cabascon and leads to here again.
My goodness. This is the perfect community to have just a little Tin Lizzy of a boat, eh? Nothing
Red
too crazy,
Rapid
you can
Lake.
get everywhere.
Yeah, well, that's kind of there's a river that joins Sheedy and La Chapelle too, but I've never went on it to see how long it is.
The best time to drive
Big
down.
pike
to
No,
Wash
it's
Up
that.
Lane,
It's just a little river that goes across.
and you
Yeah.
can see everything.
We used to skidoo through there.
How well attended was the supper on Saturday
Yeah,
night?
better than last time.
Good.
About 80.
That's very good.
Yeah.
I know, where's cooking roast for you?
Yeah, yeah, it was really good.
It was good. Yeah.
Cut it with the fork.
I had full intentions to go in. I got caught in not caught. I was playing in a baseball tournament. Of course, it was going late. So I just couldn't abandon my team.
No,
Gotta go.
Sorry, Dan.
Roast beef calling.
The first one you did, we were pretty disappointed.
the chicken doesn't seem to go as well as
No.
anything else.
Pretty good deal. $20.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people just wanted to socialize too. They've been needing that for a long time.
Bought some takeout, the leftovers.
Oh, that's
Had
good.
2
Yeah.
meals on it.
Yeah.
Smart. I still have sea pie in my freezer. Got one left.
Oh, I got lots. I bought a lot. Be good for the whole year.
Well, it's so handy. You put it in the microwave,
Oh,
heat
yeah.
it up.
Yeah. Trouble digesting it a bit.
Mm-hmm.
If I eat too much, which I
Yeah.
usually do.
Heartburn for 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just got to chew it 8,000 times before you swallow it, or else you get indigestion.
One minute.
One more minute.
That's not a grader, eh?
No.
Didn't think so. Didn't think we
Fowler.
were involved.
They're doing the shoulder work on 531, and then
Okay,
they're coming up the highway to line 3. So they just asked if they could
park it there.
park in the evening, or they'd have to float it out.
For a small fee of letting us be able to use it during the days
Oh, I
it's sitting
don't
there.
think I didn't think about it for Blue Sea. I already kind of asked.
Get to ride a big machine, that'd be cool.
What about Boozy?
That shoulder spreader. For the shoulder.
Oh, you mean, yeah,
Yeah.
where we've had a recurring problem
The
there.
guy that phoned and asked, I asked.
Mm.
Was it a hard no?
Well, you never know.
Oh, that's good. It's better than no.
Mhm. All set.
All
Okay.
set.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our regular council meeting for September 27th, 2022. We have Councillor Lagasse joining us virtually and the rest of us here present. I would take a mover and a seconder to open the meeting. Moved by Councillor Foisey, seconded by Councillor Corbett. that this meeting be opened at 7 PM. All in favor? Carried. Our last meeting was on September 13th, and we have minutes in our package related to it. Take a mover and a seconder to table the minutes. Moved by Councillor Vancouver, seconded by Councillor Legacy. That the minutes of the regular council meeting held September 13th, 2022 be adopted as circulated. Any issues with the minutes? All in favor? Carried. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Hearing none. There's no presentations or delegations. Minutes and reports of municipal committees and boards, being the second meeting of the month, are usually pretty light. Looks like Recreation and Fitness had a meeting though.
Yeah, fire department, I'm just trying to see if I can definitely get one next week.
Okay,
And
sorry. I
we're gonna
skipped the
try
part.
and, yeah, and then rec, we did have a meeting that was actually,
It was the night before the council meeting and you
Oh,
reported
we
on it the
reported
last.
it that, yeah,
Okay, I
last
see
time with
that now.
the,
Same with the library.
yeah,
General government has not met. None of the departments have met. I guess under Public Works, Manager Carr, do you have any information to report?
It's getting quite busy as we feel the crunch of Old Man Winter approaching. Excuse me. The winter sand is due to be delivered next week. We're beginning our pathways on Thursday. It was supposed to start today, but because of the rain, it's been delayed. And I just want to tell the public that this is a funding opportunity that has occurred for us as in the township. When we do funding applications, it's exactly what is specified in the funding application, so it has to be done or we don't get the money. It's not that we chose to do what we're doing. It's we've picked what we're going to do, and that's what we have to stick to the agreement. Waiting on exercise equipment. There's still a backlog in the equipment due to so much funding being put out into the province. Although they still guarantee that it'll be finished before December. We've prepared all the culverts. We changed the culverts in Centennial Park so that the pathway goes across, and it's there's no need to change culverts in the future, especially with the asphalt going over top. We started our project on Lake Shore. Often that complete road freezes in the spring. So we're trying to get better depth and so the water can flow so we don't have all the frozen culverts. Half of the material is in the landfill now from Highway 11. We've just sent out their first invoice. We've chose to do it in half and half. Asset management plan, still working on that. It's quite extensive. I'm in around the financial part and how we can look to our future with that. And on Thursday, I have an inspection with the NOHFC to see how we're doing with our park projects. Just preparing a media release currently in collaboration with the mayor for the Ontario Trillium Foundation. We completed that project with the weather barrier. So we'd like to wrap that up, and they're allowing us to wrap it up early so that the monies is in this year's expenditures instead of next year's when it was supposed to be completed by February. I think that's it for tonight.
Okay, thank you. There's no motions from any of the committees then. So reports to non-municipal committees and boards. Phenom, there's been nothing I've heard of there. Conservation Authority.
Meeting us tomorrow night.
Okay. Castle Home, construction continues. And the seniors housing.
No meeting.
No meeting, okay. One thing I did attend, kind of not listed, is the Calendar Branch 445 Legion had their 75th anniversary supper on Saturday night. And it was a packed house there, complete sellout of the tickets. And surprisingly to me, because usually it's a gala dinner and sometimes that turns into very rare prime rib. And it was catered by the Carriage House restaurant, I guess it is, in Boston, to give the Legion members themselves a break from doing actual cooking there because they have a lot of suppers themselves at that Legion. And it was very well done. And it was broccoli, chicken breast stuffed with broccoli wrapped with bacon, which was very, very good. So a great evening all around, and the Legion members were thanked for having, one of the healthiest legions, I guess I'd call it, in Northern Ontario, in that their membership is very strong. Their balance sheet is too, and they thank the MPP Fideli and MP Rhoda both for the substantial donations of 500,000 total that came in during the COVID period to help sustain the Legion. So it was a good event all around. No notices of motion. We've made it to bylaws, and last meeting we had agreed to entertain a deeming bylaw for consent and some lots that need a bylaw to basically weld them together. So I would take a mover and a seconder for that. Moved by Councillor Vinepour, seconded by Councillor Lagasse. First, council deems it expedient to pass 3 readings of the following bylaw at this session. Be it hereby resolved that a bylaw to deem part of registered plan 36M 542 in the township of Bonfield to be a registered plan of subdivision for the purposes of section 54 of the Planning Act be read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered 2022-40, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. Any questions? Yes.
Just said 54-2. I don't know if it was this.
It 54-2. Okay.
I don't know if that's a.
I
just have-
54 here as
I
well.
just have 50 section
Okay.
4 here. Yeah.
Maybe just an extra 2 on here.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor? Carried. We'll sort that out at the bylaw level.
Okay.
We made it to disbursements already. I'll take a mover and a seconder to table them, and then we could open any questions or discussion on them. Moved by Councillor Foisey, seconded by Councillor Corbett. I would now open the floor for any questions related to the disbursements. Hearing none. Moved by Councillor Foisey, seconded by Councillor Corbett, that the following disbursements be approved as prepared. All the departments under APO 6156 for subtotal of $271,826.99, and payroll batches 1245 through 1247 for a total of $29,888.16, resulting in a total disbursement of $301,715.15. I now see a question related to the disbursements. Councillor Gassi, go ahead.
On page 1 of 3, there's a number of, for the docs, it's a final for, I just wanted to know, there's 3 items on there. Is that it? Is that the total for the doc?
The total for the dock was 65,000 and 16,000 for the pad. So last meeting, I think the disbursements had indicated the cement pad for the dock, and that's the final bill. We've already paid a deposit for the dock.
Okay, so it's all within the budget?
Yes, very much so.
All right, and one more. What's testing? SCBAS.
That's the fire department. Fire department breathing apparatus.
Okay. That's all my questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. we've heard the motion. Any other questions? All in favor? Carry. Moving then to correspondence and information. The first one is related to the quote we entertained last time for the purchase of an SUV. Turns out by the time we had processed our end of things, it had been sold. So it's being retabled with some new numbers. I would take a mover and a seconder for that subject. Moved by Councillor Corbett, seconded by Councillor Ryancore. Whereas the building department and planning and development department have reserved funds to purchase an SUV. And whereas council has approved this purchase through adoption of the capital budget for 2022. And whereas an RFQ was issued and 2 bids were received. And whereas council awarded the bid to Tremblay Chevrolet Buick GMC for $33,276.24. And whereas after tax rebates, $29,769.03 be removed from the building department reserve. And whereas the SUVs that were quoted were sold before the resolution of council, and whereas buying a pre-built vehicle has become a sole sourced procurement. Therefore, the Public Works Manager recommends to council to purchase the GMC Terrain at a cost of $32,683.28 after tax rebates, which meets the specifications for the RFQ, and that motion number 6 of the council meeting held on September 13th, 2022 be rescinded in its entirety. Be it hereby resolved that council approves of this recommendation. Any questions?
So is it still available?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
Yes, Councillor Corbett.
Does the total price still fall within a budgeted allotment and/or are you able to manage any overage within your existing?
In the capital budget, it was indicated that they were hoping to spend $56,000 for a new vehicle. So it's well within their budget. And we did receive a $4,000 rebate for the inconvenience.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor? Carried. Item 2, request. Sorry. Yes, Councillor Legassi.
Item 8, I see it on the agenda, but I don't see it in my package.
Item 8.
Introduction to consideration of bylaws.
Oh, you didn't have bylaws in your paper package or in your virtual version?
I didn't see the virtual first. It wasn't in my papers.
Okay. Only reason I ask is it was in my paper version. And I hadn't noticed it in the online version. So I thought maybe that's where there might have been a missing document, but it was in my hard copy.
It's missing from agenda notes.
I can't say that. I just didn't notice it there. I noticed it when I was reading the paper version. It may well be in the agenda notes too. We have dealt with it already though. It was the deeming bylaw for the Stewart 2 lots that we had passed council motion last meeting for, and this made it more official with the bylaw tonight.
Deputy Clerk Anya, you'll be pleased to know it's in agenda notes.
It is agenda? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was a 1-pager, and it's unfortunate then that it wasn't in your package. Okay. So moving then to, I'm under correspondence, item 10 now, Article 2, request to council cancel the council meeting of October 25th, 2022. I was going to suggest that long ago, just never brought it up at the time.
Thank you.
Because obviously that is the day after election day, and our resources, staff resources are fully at work for a very long day on election day. So I would take a mover and a seconder for that. Moved by Councillor Vinecore, seconded by Councillor Foisey. Whereas the municipal elections are being held on Monday, October 24th, 2022, and whereas there's a regular meeting of council scheduled for Tuesday, October 25th, 2022. It hereby resolved that the council meeting set for October 25th, 2022 be cancelled in its entirety. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Item 3, letter from Michael Greer regarding concerns at the new playground. And there's a motion indicating that we would have staff draft a report related to his concerns. We'll take a mover and a seconder for that. Moved by Councillor Corbett, seconded by Councillor Foisey. Whereas Mr. Greer has submitted a letter to council regarding concerns with the new playground, be it hereby resolved that his letter be referred to staff for a report at the next council meeting. Any questions? Yes.
I don't have a question, but I can make a quick comment if it helps out. We still have to put up our signage with all of our rules, etc. of the playground, like 12 and under have to be accompanied by parents and etc. etc. So I think that we could address one of the issues in there in those rules within our playground. The other would have to be a change in the bylaw.
Regarding the pets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor? Carried.
So that'll be brought, sorry, that'll be brought forward to the next council meeting, correct?
Right.
Thank you.
Item 4, firefighter applications. We have 2 new firefighters to add to the department. I'll take a mover and a seconder for that. Moved by Councillor Vinecore, seconded by Councillor Corbett. Forest Fire Chief Gilles LaBelle has recommended to council that the applications submitted by Scott Shields and Jeremy Bean be accepted as volunteer firefighters for the Township of Bonfield's Volunteer Fire Department. We hereby resolve that council approves of this recommendation. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Am I incorrect, but had we not done away with council approvals at one point for that? And now
believe
it's
we
back
did,
again?
yeah.
Yeah.
We did, but I need clarification to see if we are actually supposed to do that, because the recommendation at the back does.
Well, that's what, there's a number of items on that form that
That
I've
need to be
noted through the
revised,
years
yes.
Yeah.
that may or may not be appropriate to be asking.
Yes.
for. So,
And I
yeah.
need to clarify through either WSIB or the insurance to see, to make sure that we're doing it correctly by recommending them.
Yeah, I mean, there's no harm in what we
No.
just did. It's just,
No.
I think both CAOs had indicated that it was no longer necessary under the act, but that the chief held the
The authority,
authority to appoint members, but this just confirms it.
yes.
We could also mention to the fire department clerk to do a little maybe revamp of
Yes.
the document that they apply with.
Make sure that it conforms to,
Yes.
It's also great to have it come forward to council as an information item, not for approval, but just as an.
yeah, it used to be
information.
under information.
Yeah.
Just a couple members joining, and that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I
Or
just want to
somebody
clarify
leaving.
with the insurance and WSIB, if they would still be covered if we just do it as information, or do we need a recommendation?
Okay. Item 5, recommendation to hire Kim Turnbull for the position of Office Clerk 2. I take a mover and a seconder for that. Moved by Councillor Foisey, seconded by Councillor Corbett. Whereas the deputy clerk recommends to council that Kim Turnbull be hired for the position of office clerk 2. Be hereby resolved that council approves this recommendation. Any questions? Yes, Councillor Corbett.
Just much to the point that we just made the last time, my hope is we will get to a place in the municipality that we have these kinds of positions will be brought to the council for information and not for approval. But again, there's no harm in tonight for sure.
The other one, just for my information, office clerk 2 is the part-time position?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions? All in favor? Carried. Information. There's 3 items of information. New business, there's none.
I have something with information. I broke the link email.
Okay,
I have a lot to say about it.
there was, I guess that information was in our last agenda package. It was,
No, it wasn't.
no, okay.
I'm
Okay.
speaking as a counselor on behalf of both the township and all the residents of our township. I was elected by the people of Bonfield and therefore work for the people of Bonfield. I'm not the mayor's employee, nor am the employee of the Bonfield Event Park. The purpose of this discussion is to determine the fire department's role with the Bonfield Event Park, the private for-profit business in Bonfield, and if there are liability issues, putting the township in the vulnerable position on the matter. It's not my intention to speak against the Bonfield first responders, but I do have to defend myself against false claims made against me. I'd like to apologize ahead of time for the lengthy discussion I will present tonight, hopefully without interruption. I'd also like to apologize if I was out of line when I was forced to defend myself against the accusations and attacks from Mayor McLaren during the last meeting. Use of township public vehicles. Before we tackle the matter at hand, I'd like to sincerely thank the first responders for their care and attention they gave to my father for the 4 or 5 times he responded to the 911 calls at his residence. I would like to praise them for their professionalism and their medical care until the ambulance service arrived. On those occasions when my father was suffering from respiratory distress, they fitted my father with an oxygen mask and took and recorded vital signs readings such as oxygen levels and blood pressure. All the records were then transferred to the paramedics when they arrived. Thank you for your care. You are greatly appreciated for this. I would also like to praise their response to recent garage fire at the neighbors of my parents' home. They were not able to save the garage, but made sure that the fire did not spread to the house. On all occasions, the response times would be about 20 to 25 minutes. During the wait for the first responders, it was understood that those emergency situations needed to be managed until help arrived. This is the reason why all residents and businesses are required to have first aid and fire suppression equipment on hand, as well as smoke fire alarms as required by law. In the case for businesses, I believe they also need their own trained personnel on site. I also do somewhat understand what it is to be a fire suppression in the fire suppression business. There are some similarities between the township's volunteer firefighters and the MNRF, Forest Fire Crews. On several occasions as an employee of MNR, now MNRF, I was called upon to be part of an auxiliary forest fire crew. During the years that forest fires were significant in the Northeast region, especially in North Bay area. This was a well laid out requirement in our collective agreements as a forest ranger resource technician. To get back to the crux of the situation, the reason that the Bonfield volunteer firefighters have given to be installed at the Bonfield Event Park through conversations and emails with members of the volunteer firefighters. It is to essentially help them out with their bottom line and to have some fun and receiving big donations for their service as a bonus. Here are some excerpts of the recorded telephone conversations I had, emails, I received responses to inquiries and research done. Wednesday, June 24th, 2020, staff member. Our CEO has requested that I respond to an inquiry from Councillor Foisy. This is an extraordinary year with COVID-19, which has caused a large number of businesses to close for a period of time. Saying that Bylaw 2011-26 requires that the owner or operator shall submit the schedule of main race events prior to April 15th of each calendar year. It is my understanding that the owner has not yet set up a schedule of racing or otherwise for 2020. Therefore, there is no schedule of main events to submit. This time, there is no schedule main events at the Bonfield Event Park, and there has been no schedule of events submitted to council for approval. To my knowledge, this is a private event on private property, and no members of the public will be attending. Therefore, this does not qualify as a main event as set out in the racetrack bylaw. June 27, 2020, Chief. Well, we'll make it this year ago, but we're away from the crowd. We're at the end of the runway. Yes, we are using public materials to do private events. Randy was okay with it. These are new people and they're trying again, and they would not pay us. Myself, do you do other private events? Chief, no, we used to do it in the past. Emergency Control Group minutes read by me to the chief. The decision will be left with the chief and deputy chief if they would be attending the event. The meeting of the firefighters will be held on Wednesday. Event going on at the property this weekend, test and tune. Jill received an email requesting that the fire department be on site for security and first responders. They'll need a couple of guys in a truck on site. They are offering to feed them or whatever they need and donate to the department. This event is not open to the public. So-and-so stated that they have the manpower to do it. But if it comes down to the optics of the liability response to the message by saying that if anything goes down, the fire department will respond and provide the emergency service. Chief, I'll just call them and see that we're not going in. Just gonna play a bit just to prove that I did record the conversations. Requesting that the fire department be on site for security and first responders. You need a couple of guys on a truck on site. You're offering to feed them and whatever they need or donate to the department. This event is not open to the public. David and Jill stated that they have the manpower to do it, but it comes down to the optics and liability respond to the message by saying that if anything goes down, the fire department will respond and provide emergency services. Yeah. I'll just call them and say what I'm on. So I do have a recording of all the conversations. Saturday, June 27, 2020. Deputy Chief, the decision to attend was handed to the fire chief by the mayor. I trust my fire chief will make the right decision. We all collectively talked as a department and agreed it was a good idea, with the understanding that the township comes first. If there was a fire or MVC, motor vehicle collision, or whatever, that the 911 system has called for an emergency, those firefighters that are attending this racetrack are to leave and attend that call. My opinion is like we have a staff department for the weekend that are fire ready. Fantastic. And a sizable donation, even better. That, by the way, the Firefighters Association takes that and gives it back to the community. With this year being the way it was, the association has had very little opportunity to fundraise, and this was another reason it was a good move. Now, when the church comes to the department to ask for some help with heating oil, as they do every year, we will have the funds to give it back. Fantastic again. From what I understand, the racers are being very respectful to the rules of COVID. Our firefighters are not in the midst of the crowd. Where is the harm? June 27, 2020. In the email below, Mr. Eric Foisy, as well as a phone conversation to the fire chief, directly removing the fire department presence from the event park. According to the above Bonfield bylaw, that is a direct violation. Therefore, I'm reinstating the fire department back to the event park until such time that the CAO, under the direction of council as a whole, tell us otherwise. Mayor, hi Dave, just out of curiosity, who made the order to leave the event park? Randy. Deputy Fire Chief. Thank you, Randy. I know you're a man of your word. I respect that. The order came from Eric Foisy, who contacted Jill via telephone and told him to remove the firefighter presence from the event park. Why he complied is beyond me. Saturday, June 27th. Again. Councillor Baudouin, you have not received the direction to attend the event park from the whole of council through the CAO. How is that you are arriving at this decision to attend the event park when council as a whole has not made that decision? Through the mayor or through the mayor's direction as stated in your previous email? Because if that's the case, that is a violation of code of conduct. I know for a fact that council as a whole did not authorize the fire department to attend the event park in the capacity of our fire department. July 7th, 2020, Mayor McGrath. Event park fiasco. In the ECG meeting prior to the park event, the department chief and deputy raised the matter of the weekend event. I stated I did not like the optics of us being involved at all for a variety of reasons. I left the decision to the department leadership, who ended the Tuesday morning discussion by stating they were having a Wednesday evening training session and would discuss it with the department members then. At no time was I advised the outcome of this discussion. The next awareness I had related to this matter was an email from the deputy chief expressing his disappointment with being ordered to leave the event. I saw clarity as to where this order came from. I was told that Councillor Foisy had telephoned the chief at home at 10 p.m. on a Friday night and had ordered him to remove the department from any activity at the event park. This is quite troubling in that individual councillors hold no such authority to make such orders. Also, the councillor involved has no direct appointment responsibility for that department under the committee structure. On top of that, it is quite illegal for anybody to interfere with a fire chief's authority to make command decisions. By ordering the removal of the service, that individual councillor exposed himself to serious legal liability, and as a matter of the council, also brought liability on the corporation. The only defense that could be taken is that under no circumstances should the chief have listened to a rogue council voice. The deputy chief by Saturday morning had reinstated the department. His reasoning was public safety, having a manned department and good morale outcomes from the member participation. In his words, we cannot expect our department members just to attend deathly car crashes, fires, and other horrors. There needs to be a bit of fun, public PR involved occasionally too.
Point of order, Your Worship.
Yes.
I'm just cognizant of time. There is a 10-minute limit for presentations to council. We have crested the 11-minute mark now. If Council Foisy is almost done, I am fine with it, but if we're in for another 10, 11, 12 minutes, I mean, obviously, just being respectful to the table, I would ask that it be limited to the time allotted in our bylaws.
Councillor Foisy, are you near done?
No.
Is it the wish of council to continue with the presentation?
Not me. I'd rather not.
And neither would I.
So, okay, I'll go right to the
Go right to the point.
point. Okay. So
Because
there's
half
no
the stuff you read,
changes. Okay.
we've already read it. We've heard that
Okay.
2 years ago.
So I'll read
Councilor
what
Foisy.
you haven't read. Okay. Just reread myself there. Oh, okay. June 23rd, 2021, fire marshal. Didn't hear that one? Okay. Good morning, Eric. Thank you for your question. The role of any municipal fire department is found in both the Fire Protection and Prevention Act 1997 FPPA. And in municipal bylaw, the FPPA requires that a municipality perform 3 basic functions, including public education, fire prevention, in addition to addressing the specific needs and circumstances within the municipality. Each municipality typically has an establishing and regulating bylaw, which details the level of service provided to the community. You should be able to access a copy of Bonfield's E&R bylaw through their website or through the municipal offices. The FPPA also requires that a fire chief report through to council, although practically this is typically through a municipal CAO or similar role. In the circumstances you outline in your question, this is a decision of the municipality where the fire chief is given permission to participate in these roles from council and or CAO. The fire chief would have considered the greater risk of the community when making the decisions. I would suggest you speak to your municipal council and or the fire chief regarding your concerns. The fire department cannot perform security functions unless appropriately licensed, trained, and insured as required under the Private Security and Investigative Service Act 2005, but can perform public safety functions related to emergency response. Freedom of information requests, September 7, 2021.
Are you nearly done?
No,
Counselor?
no, I'll just read, but
Well, at the, it was the agreement that at the point of order, we
Yeah.
had reached the limit. We allowed you another
well,
moment
let
or
me at
two.
least reach the,
If it's brief,
I'm
yes.
done.
yeah,
Counselor Lagasse.
5 more minutes.
5 more
Been
minutes.
20 minutes, you got nowhere.
I've had enough of this topic. And in our agenda, we did not get the original letter that he
Yeah.
sent
I
out
don't
to.
copy what he's reading.
Okay, so we'll
and-
go exactly to the.
No, I'm done.
I've had
I'm
enough.
gonna have to rule that it's clear council has heard enough for tonight. So
We're not gonna go to the response from the insurance company regarding liability issues.
it's in our package.
Well, I'll have to
And,
read it. yeah.
But as Councillor Lagasse just indicated, and I raised that at the last meeting, we have no idea what the insurance company was told because that's not part of our information package. And their response is based on information they were told that the council as a whole has no knowledge of. So their response at best is questionable because we have no idea what they're responding to. So on that basis, I would close it for tonight.
Are the, so they're, well, you don't, I'll just read that.
No.
You don't want, so the
We'll
fire
have a
department
copy.
is
Just
gonna
send us
go
a-
there.
just send a copy.
Are the fire department going to attend the next race?
Council is indicating they're willing to look at your documents, but they don't want them read aloud tonight.
Next meeting, okay.
Yes, Councillor Corbett.
I just want to state I am fully supportive of the fire department participating in these events.
So am I.
Perhaps as a way to move forward, if we could maybe request or agree to we request staff to look into a matter if there are any liabilities or if we need an agreement and or if we need to be put on a rider, I have no problem with that. Those are actually small potato things for us to be able to support the fire department and be able to participate.
No, we're
in
not.
this, So, Councillor
sorry.
Foisey, I am stating that
Sorry.
I am ceding the point that let's absolutely make sure that our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed. But at the end of the day, I am not in favor of dictating to the fire department how they do their job when it comes to fire suppression. Not an expert in it. Fire prevention, I'm not an expert in it. And or recruitment of fire department members. I'm not an expert in that. And that's within their purview to do. And if they choose to do it in the manner such as promoting the fire department at various events, private property, public property, that's in their purview. We will do our job to ensure that we have the means necessary to protect the municipality from a liability standpoint. And that's the end of the story, from my opinion.
One last comment, Councillor Foisey.
With council's approval. There has to be an agreement. There has to
Absolutely.
be a motion, all that. Has to talk about the cost and everything, right?
Of,
In the-
sorry,
Their
Of-
attendance, yeah.
If you
What-
could,
I don't know where you're,
Well, if we're making an
Cost, I
agreement, we'll
don't-
have to include the cost and all that, right?
the costs for what? For
To
recruitment?
drive.
No, we're not talking about, I never.
It's
talked about
part of the
recruitment.
fire department budget for them to be able to recruit, suppress fires. We don't pass a motion for every time they need to drive to a fire to be able to do that part of their job. We're not gonna pass a motion every time they need to do the part of their job of promoting the fire department and recruiting fire department officers.
But we're paying honorariums for that,
Correct, for them to do their job, which we appreciate very much them doing.
and they're passing it as calls when they're going there.
They are passing it as part of, it's not just fire suppression is their only duty. They have fire prevention, fire awareness, and recruitment duties that they have as part of their role as well.
That's not why they're going there. They're going there to help out the.
Well, that's
the
your
event part.
opinion.
Oh, no, I just read it. You didn't listen.
No, I did listen.
we're also making assumptions without
Of what
information
they're doing there.
of how the point system is
The
being
point system
distributed.
is not
I
saying
don't
that they're charging on their honorariums for whatever. But it's a good point to bring up. We'll have it hopefully at a meeting next week with the fire chief.
I would
Seriously, well,
suggest that any policy that we implement should speak to more than one site or entity.
in
Because I
general.
can recall occasions where our department also did public relations type events on other, and I disagree that it's private property, but there was other locations that our department set up for an afternoon to do community outreach, and they weren't municipal sites. So any policy or change that we make, first of all, straddles the authority of the chief in that it's his domain where he decides to go and what he decides to do with his department as far as deployment at all times. And second of all, if we focusing solely on your concerns about insurance, if we write something to satisfy the insurance company, first of all, we would like to know what was communicated to the insurance company that they're responding to. So we'll need that information from you.
Okay,
And second of all, it needs to be generic, that it applies across the municipality, not to any specific site. So that would be where I would leave that.
okay, you'll get the information.
Okay, thank you.
And this will be on the agenda for next meeting.
If you have it prepared in time, I guess.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So that leaves the information section and new business. We're moving to unfinished business. Kelsey Shank, the leased property item, there's nothing happening this meeting. So now we're moving into a substantial piece of business referred from last meeting, and that being the municipal software that our system that we have presently, the supplier maintainer of that is retiring and basically shutting down his business. And a number of municipalities that we're neighbors and familiar with have used the Baker system, we'll call it, for a great period of time. Last meeting, we asked the deputy clerk to brief us more in depth than just the recommendation related to how she come to that recommendation. I read all of the substantial proposals and had some questions. I had circulated to all of council just a few things I picked out of the individual proposals that caught my attention. And one of those was from the recommended supplier. In bold print, no less, they had stated that they do not commit to timelines and that they were fully booked for 2022. So I had circulated that to council. I didn't receive any response or indication related to that. But today I had occasion to visit the office and speak directly with Deputy Clerk Gagne about the merits of all of the three proposals and how she come to her recommendation, knowing that it would seem her preferred choice didn't seem to be readily available to help us immediately. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you're not concerned with that, in that there's work that could be done.
In preparation of the switchover.
And the other information, I guess I'll call it, or because I'm not a server and software expert, the recommended choice is a complete 100% cloud-based system. The other one, both have server with cloud-based backup, if I can describe it as that. So there's different technologies based in the 3 submissions that we had. Where I sit right now, and I don't know if council has any questions for anybody on it, but where I sit right now is I'm still concerned, based upon the discussion I had, about how readily available they're going to be to us, because it was a great concern, because this seemingly has kind of moved to the almost a last minute type of thing. When they write in bold and they state in their bid for the job, I can't come this year, that really scares me. So that's where I'm at with it right now. But if I'm willing to hear advice on that. Yes, Councillor Corbett.
I'm actually hoping to recommend that we defer this item yet again. Having read the full report, I would actually like this, the RFP to be scored by a few people, by at least a team of 3 within our municipality, and then combine scores, average them out, and bring that forward with a recommendation to council based on a broader scope and view of the response to the very specific RFP. We followed public procurement guidelines. I say we continue to do that, have it scored internally by staff with a team of 3, combine that together, bring it back to council, and then at least we are above any reproach when it comes to the process of making sure we're following appropriate process.
When I committed to reviewing the proposals, and then when I seen how substantial they were and how out of my element I was in assessing them, I thought it would be great to have an independent arm's length consultant to give us some advice. That's what I thought immediately. Right. And I don't know who or where we would find that. But I totally agree with your sentiments on that. I'm concerned at this point in time about such a substantial purchase, and putting all of the success or failure, shall we say, of it on the recommendation of one individual. That seems unfair, as you're describing there. So is there any other thoughts on it? Yes, Councillor.
Just wondering how, I mean, with the system we're using now, when is that going to be obsoleted out, or we can still run it till we have a deadline that we can't use that anymore? Or like what we're using right now, the Baker system?
The system will continue to operate.
Okay.
However, the support will be limited. The end date they have is December 31st.
At the end of this year.
Yes. The system will still function as it does now.
Okay. I kind of agree with Councillor Corbett's of having a more in-depth scoring method too. And I've tried to read through that, and it just, there's so much stuff in there, and we're not software wizards.
I could ask the manager of public works. She's done RFQs and RFPs before and evaluated. So, and I would trust her opinion as well, just based on the proposal. She is not familiar with the software, but you don't really need to know the ins and out of the Baker system to be able to evaluate the proposals. And we could also ask the manager of planning and development, and that would give you 2 more evaluations.
Yes, in a moment, the manager. When we were speaking earlier today, you named we have some suppliers already.
Other municipalities.
no other suppliers that protect our integrity of our information in that business in North Bay. And Eddie Cord is.
Oh,
is the
okay, sorry.
company. And it protects us from data
Yes. I could
being
ask
taken
for a
hostage there. I'm just wondering if one of those companies that haven't bid on this would have somebody that could be a expert advisor to us, I guess I'd say.
I
We
could ask them
reach
if
out
they
to-
would have to.
Or North Bay Computer Services or somewhere that has somebody that speaks the language to work with you.
Yep, we can look into that and see who would be available.
Okay.
That, sorry, just to be clear, that's in addition to the additional scoring evaluations that are going to
Mhm.
happen
From-
internally as well, right?
Yeah, I would,
Because I don't disagree. I mean, I'm not a subject expert on this by any means. However, just wanting to ensure that our procurement process stays above board, which at the very least would mean that there needs to be more than one person scoring the RFP for sure.
We could also perhaps reach out, remember, we just had that review of all of our software and what we have and where the gaps are and how we're able to, that was done with CEO Johnston, and there was the funding. And we had all of our software reviewed, how we
Okay,
can pull it all
yeah.
together, et cetera. That was done by the BDO, that maybe also someone who we could reach out, and that is totally third party. To look at.
I don't remember the specific hardware commentary that was made in that. I only remember the recommendation on the CAO restructuring in that they added the accounting domain to the new CAO job description. So if there's more there that's helpful, yeah,
there
let's
was a
pull that
whole
out
thing
too.
just on like software. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head.
I thought I put it in your report.
Just one other-
Yes.
BDO is our auditor of record, I believe.
Well, they have,
Separately, or just sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
the-
no,
The
that's okay.
recruitment was done by BDO Toronto HR, which is arm's length from the North Bay
Right.
auditor office that we use.
Yeah, I guess my point is if we're looking for a third-party consultant to bring in and if we're going to pay for some services to review this with an impartial eye, but somebody has some knowledge of how systems need to operate, perhaps actually relying on our auditor would be a good place to.
They had
start.
recommended what I'm recommending in their.
Formally,
proposal.
like they've reviewed the proposals.
No, they haven't
submitted?
reviewed the proposals
Right.
when they prepared their final report. And I, as and the
I
name,
can't remember what the grant was for. And they reviewed all of our software, like citywide, town or
Mhm.
non-town suites, but
Baker
Baker
System.
system, how we operate with Microsoft Teams, how we can integrate all these systems together. They had recommendations. I just can't remember what the.
Okay, well, it sounds like for this evening, we're
Yeah.
generally on side with postponing this for
Yeah.
tonight, and we can develop an action plan to
Yeah.
get some additional support from that area. Okay. Moving then to confirmatory bylaw. Looks like we're nearing the end of the runway here. I take a mover and a seconder for confirmatory bylaw, moved by Councillor Legacy, seconded by Councillor Vinecore. Whereas council deems it expedient to pass 3 readings of the following bylaw at this session, be it hereby resolved that a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council from September 13th, 2022 to September 27th, 2022. We read it first, second, and third time, passed and numbered 2022-39. That said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. All in favor? Carried. I would take a motion to adjourn the meeting. Moved by Councillor Vinecore, seconded by Misty was wanting to, but I'll take Councillor Corbett. Misty is not sworn in. That this meeting be adjourned at 7:55 PM. All in favor? Carried, and thank you.
Misty would have been the cuter choice for her.
Thank you for the meeting. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Andre.
You're welcome.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
You as well.